In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to take our 9 different photographs for this unit. You learned about the 9 compositional techniques in lesson 1. Now we're going to learn how to set them up to photograph. So let's look at the end results before we dive into how to take the pictures. If we go to the bottom of my Google site, under Unit 6, I have 3 across, and each of my compositional techniques is being illustrated using rule of thirds, worm's eye view, bird's eye view, cropping, horizontal, vertical, leading lines, symmetry, and framing. And then we have a bonus image that you're allowed to do. The bonus image needs to include 3 of the techniques that are illustrated above. So rule of thirds, vertical, and leading lines are the 3 that were included into this picture. So when you're doing your bonus image, you just need to be able to verify and write the 3 different compositional techniques you were using. Another thing to keep in mind is this might be a really good opportunity for you to turn your camera to monochrome setting, because we're looking at composition, we're not looking at necessarily color. And black and white will allow you to really focus on composition rather than the clutter of color. Now, some of your smartphones, you're going to have to shoot in color, then edit them in black and white later. But it's also perfectly fine if you want to keep them in color. I just think that bringing down the pictures to a black and white will really help you focus on that. We need to learn how to turn on our grid settings in order to do our first picture. And I like to keep my grid settings on my phone or on my camera at all times. So go into your settings. For me, I'm going to come down here to my settings and I'm going to look for my camera app. And then I'm going to turn on the grid. Now that my grid is on, I am ready to go ahead and start shooting my first picture. And I'm going to look for a subject, and because I'm kind of limited to what I've got outside here at the school, I need to find a subject that looks a lot different than another. And let's see this trash can. I'm not going to say this is an interesting photograph, but I want you to get the idea for how to make a composition. So in this, my trash can is going to be my subject. And I wouldn't want to put it in the center, and I wouldn't want to put it too far over to the side. What I want to use is this line right here. The actual best spot to be is either in the top, right there, so it crosses in the middle, or the bottom, like this. Or you could even have it straight in the center like this. So this is using my rule of thirds. I could move it over to this side as well. So the way it's looking for this composition, I'm going to set it just like this, and I'm going to take my picture. There we go. Next on my list is worm's eye view. Worm's eye view is really simple to do because all you have to do is lay down and get a nice composition. I'm going to look to see how these plants over here look through worm's eye view. We've got a lot of plants going into dormancy. I'm going to come down and photograph from a worm's eye view. Looks kind of cool. There we go. Next up is bird's eye view. Now this is going to be kind of tricky figuring out how I can get high up. So I do see something I can climb on top of. I do have heels on, so this might be a little bit of a challenge. Oh my goodness. Hope nobody's watching me. Oh! Ah. Okay, worm's eye view. There's nothing really interesting to look at here, but this is kind of cool, getting these shadows and light right here. I'm going to go and take this picture. Now I'm going to jump down out of this potted plant. Okay, next up is cropping. Cropping is getting in really close to something so that it looks like your image could go on forever if you wanted it to. So let's come up to these bushes over here. And I'm gonna crop to make it look like these bushes are going further than what you would expect. So I have a row here. I'm gonna come in and you can see that the row is just like this. I'm actually gonna turn horizontal composition. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna crop like this. So it looks like this could go on forever, okay? So even getting rid of that white wall in the back is really important so it doesn't look like it stops, so it looks like it's continuing. That is your cropping picture. Next up is a vertical composition. So you want to find a vertical composition that is meaningful in your picture. So let's find something that has kind of a monumental look to it. And I have these lovely trees here. I have these lights that have a monumental look to it. Let's take a look here to see if I can get a nice looking vertical composition. So make sure your camera is facing north-south like this. This is not the best looking composition. Hopefully you can create something better. If I had a short depth of field on this camera, it would look better. Frame it a little bit better. So here we go. I want to get the whole tree inside, so I'm stepping back. But I also don't want the other tree in there. So I'm going to have to aim below a little bit. There we go. Vertical composition. Next up is a horizontal composition. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my camera this direction and I'm going to find something that's kind of horizontal. Now you can see the top of this is already a horizontal composition, this breezeway. I'm going to get this pole out of the way and I'm going to move this way, and now I'm seeing a very left to right composition that is more stable. I'm going to take this picture. That is a horizontal composition. So you could use the lines on this right here. Do you see I've got leading lines with the brick on the ground? I've got leading lines with the sign. Or I could come over here and I've got some leading lines using these lights. So for this composition, if I want to use these leading lines, I'm thinking of vertical composition would really accentuate these leading lines. And you can even see there's brick lines on the right near there that I can use. There's a picture of my leading lines. Now I'm going to make my composition perfect on both sides. So make sure you have the same amount of space on both sides. Use your grid to make sure you're really centering it. I'm going to go in a little bit closer. That's really bothering me that the white of the background is not centered, so I'm going to even crop closer here. There we go. Now I can get this ready. Good. Okay, so for my framing video, or for my framing photograph, I decided to use the door frame on the inside, and I'm going to be framing the subject, which is this hand sanitizer station, Or what I could do, actually, let's make this even easier. Let's do the trash can. Because everybody loves a picture of trash can. 2 pictures of trash cans today. So here's my trash can. Now I'm going to use the artificial framing from the door frame to actually frame my photograph of the subject. Ah, that looks good. Okay, so I have framed this beautiful trash can by using the door frame. I know that's kind of a literal sense of the word framing, but you can use framing with trees or shrubbery or any other kind of organic material as well. It does not have to be a door frame. So those are all 9 of your compositions. Good luck and have fun.